Last week, Fox Nation hosted the 3rd annual Patriot Awards. It's like the ESPYs for terrible, terrible people, and for people who boycotted sports at one point or another. It's a show meant to honor only the most patriotic Americans, and it looks to be as embarrassing and cringeworthy as you'd expect. I'm not sure if you guys were able to see the video that came out of it, put together by someone on the internet. But here is a tasteful compilation of the tripe that befell the audience.
In the other Hollywood, fawning reporters ask kale-eating celebrities, "Who are you wearing this evening?" Well, at the Patriot Awards, we show them.
Oh, I see you in the 5th row with 3 masks. Oh, Dr. Fauci, thank you for coming.
We were not going to let Florida descend into a Faucian dystopia.
Cause we don't be speaking German or living under the flag of Japan.
America, as I like to put it, is simply the awesomest. And I have a pro tip. If you don't love it, you can always leave it.
How many other countries have like dog movies where everyone cries? Well, exactly. There's no other place where countrymen root for each other.
John?
I mean, it takes work to have a full crowd of grown adults chanting "Let's go Brandon" not be the cringiest thing in a compilation. I don't know. Where do you want to start? He hates fawning reporters. That's what they hate. That's why their reporters are always so hard on right-wing politicians and other members of the media. They're very critical. They don't do softballs or anything. It's just the whole Tucker Carlson, who's supposed, remember, he continually had for at least for a few years, all of these glossy profiles in like New York Magazine and stuff about how he's a different sort of conservative. He thinks more deeply and independently. He's just saying other countries don't have sad dog movies. In other countries, people don't root for each other. Yes, nationalism. We invented it. It's never existed in any other country. Nobody identifies with their countrymen. Come on, it's sad baby thoughts. It's just baby stuff.
The part where it's like no one in other countries roots for each other is absolute BS. But I think it was just a setup for Let's Go Brandon. Like, I believe it or not, and I'm kind of proud of myself, I didn't watch the whole thing. Like, it's the only explanation. It's like, if you don't think other countrymen root for each other, like, put it to the test and like invade China.
On his show, he just says very vague stuff. Like, it's American exceptionalism for someone without an ounce of critical thought. Like, you don't want to make it complicated because you'll lose most of your audience. So you don't think about the actual things that make us unique. And certainly there are many. Countries are different. Our history, our geographic position does make us different in some ways. But that takes a little bit of nuance, a little bit complicated. There might even be some consequences of it that don't sound so good. So no, it's just that, like, we root for each other and we cry when Beethoven gets injured in the 3rd act or whatever. It's just, it's political news for babies.
I love the part where Hegseth is like, "We show ya." It's like, what? Like, they ask, "Who are you wearing?"
Funny.
And it's like, "We show ya." Like, the people wearing clothes at those red carpets are also showing you what they're wearing.
But you can see the celebrities?
Yeah, you could see their clothes. The only person who wasn't showing you what they were wearing was the person who hid their patriotism on the liner of their jacket. You weren't showing it until you opened it, you terrible, terrible idiot. Also, like Laura Ingraham saying, "I hate to break it to you how this proves that she just isolates herself in a room somewhere. The 5th row, madam, your eye line for the 5th row is not like that. Your eye line for the 5th row is down."
They're not. It's not to say that there are that there are no clever right-wingers or no funny right-wingers or no talented or creative right-wing people. There are certainly some of those things, but these are not things that they generally seem to prize or focus on, and there are consequences for that. And one of the consequences appears to be that even with probably months of planning and millions of dollars being spent, access to unlimited resources, they can't put together a show like that isn't going to be completely cringeworthy. Or they do know better. They know that the jokes are terrible, but they also know that that's just what their audience wants. They like chanting, like basically F Joe Biden in Pig Latin, and they don't aspire to anything higher. So I don't know which is sadder, if this is the best they can do or if this is the best that they think their audience wants.
From the writer's perspective and the people delivering it, they all know it's an act. They know it's a branding exercise, right? And so the writers, what they wrote is the laziest of lazy ass jokes. Like they hired the world's best writers to write for the Emmys and stuff, and they're frequently terrible. And the focus of the people writing for the Emmys is to write like actual funny jokes. People writing jokes for right-wing comedy are just trying to be the meanest. Like the involuntary response to thoughts that are funny for a human being is to laugh. But for like this weird Fox News person who's supposed to just love the country, like the Hero Awards is for people who love the country. That's something that CNN does. That's like, here are actual people who are making a positive difference and positive change in the world. This is not for people who love the country. This is for people who love to hate half the country.
Yeah. That's I mean, they literally chanted, "Let's go, Brandon." I mean, that they couldn't sum it up better. Yeah, I guess I mean, look, it's not a cool movement. It's an effective movement because they've landed on a couple of tools for, stupefying millions of people. Humans got to this point through hundreds of thousands or millions of years of evolution that incentivized emotions that aren't necessarily conducive to rational, empathic thought for people in situations unlike your own. And they are savvy at least enough to know that. They know that people are predisposed to jealousy and fear and suspicion and anger, and they give them that. They have that. That doesn't mean that they're clever. It also means that they miss sort of the core thing. Like when the Emmys or the Oscars are funny, when a host actually breaks through, when is that? When they just make fun of Trump? No, it's when they make fun of the people in the room, when they're able to actually look at themselves and their own group and pick apart the flaws or the hypocrisies, the inconsistencies. I don't think I saw literally any of that. You can't joke about Trump to these people. You can't mock Tucker Carlson to these people. That would at least be a start. It would show that you're a real human, because humans do that stuff. In a group of friends, you make fun of your friends. That's what you do. You don't just, well, at least in my group, you don't just look out the window and mock people walking by. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, it's so bad. I do want to say, like, something I've noticed about Tucker Carlson is he knows how terrible his audience is and needs and where he needs them to be in terms of being terrible. But he definitely frequently gets surprised by it. And he has trained himself to say, "Oh, I couldn't agree more." So like the other day when he's interviewing Kyle Rittenhouse, and Kyle Rittenhouse says like, "Oh God, I gotta, it sucks and this is terrible." And he's like, "I couldn't agree more." And in that moment when someone's like, "We don't eat our dogs," which is a hateful, horrible, racist thing that like, this is a nice event. Like this is what's hilarious about it is it's like a black tie affair. Like it's a fancy elitist event that exposes the internal hypocrisy of Fox News trying to foment some populism. And they still need leaders, and these are their leaders, and that weird fascist instinct to have fancy dancy crazy leaders. But when someone said that, he's like, "You're damn right. You're damn right. Yes, you're damn right that we don't eat our dogs." He doesn't mean that. If he was in a room at a dinner party like he is so often at with his fancy friends that he associates with, and someone said that, he'd be ashamed and he'd tell them no. but he doesn't do it in that big open-aired event or that big giant amphitheater because he's performing and it's fake.
He's a coward.
And he's a coward. Yeah. He won't call out. He won't do that John McCain thing where John McCain says, no, he's a good man about Obama.